This video aims to help you to cope and soothe feelings of loneliness. And feelings of loneliness can be very difficult to sit with and very deeply intense. And I know a lot of people have been struggling with this of late. So, ironically, you're not alone in feeling so alone, which is actually quite sad. But here in this video, we're going to have a look at some things that you can do to hopefully begin to soothe some of these feelings and hopefully begin to move through them so that you don't have to stay stuck having to use coping tools over and over and over. That doesn't mean to say that this video will be easy. I'm just going to warn you of that now. Loneliness is a very difficult one to sit with, which is why we often engage in other coping mechanisms that may not be so healthy for us, such as drinking, overeating, undereating, overexercising, all of that sort of stuff, maybe sleeping around, putting ourselves in harm's way in all those different ways that we might do. We're going to start with a somatic hug, and this might be both comforting, but it also might make you have to tap into the feeling more. It depends how you respond to this, and everybody's different. So just be aware of that. And if you find that it's not helpful, then just stop and move on to the next bit. So you might also, even if you do find it comforting, you might have a release of emotion and shed a few tears. It can be both comforting and difficult at the same time. I know when I was going through my grief process, I would do this somatic hug, and it would both comfort me in a way that I could sit and cry out everything I needed to cry out from my grief, whilst still going through the pain of it. It was still very difficult. It was still a difficult one to sit with. But had I not been doing the somatic hug, I probably wouldn't have been able to do that. So we're going to take our right hand and put it under our left armpit, our left hand and put it over our right arm. And you're going to squeeze. You're going to squeeze and give yourself comfort. You are here now with yourself. You can give yourself the things that you seek in others. And right now, in this moment, you're going to give yourself the comfort that you do seek in others. You can be present with yourself. I would like you to state your name to yourself and then repeat those things to yourself as well. That I am Natasha Rose Swift. I am here with myself now. I can comfort myself. I can give myself the things I need. I have the things I need and seek in others. I can give those things to myself. The love and the care I wish to give to others, I can give that to myself. And you might want to take a deep breath and let some of the tension out with that. And sit there for however long you need to sit there with those statements and with yourself, holding yourself. Pause this video if need be. One of the things that will help you to cope with loneliness is practicing self-compassion. The way you speak to yourself and the way you speak to yourself about the way you have dealt with relationships or anything else that has led to you feeling lonely, or the way you believe things about the world, will ultimately affect how much you can cope. And if you're speaking to yourself badly, you're going to feel more lonely because you're separating yourself from yourself. And you're already going to be struggling with that if you're experiencing loneliness. Especially if it's connected to the social issues that are going on right now or grief. You're going to be experiencing a difficulty being you in the world and feeling lonely with that. So it's really important to give yourself self-compassion and gentleness as much as possible. And this is something you're going to have to practice for it to become a part of your toolbox. So another thing that can happen with loneliness is we seek a lot of external validation. We seek other people to meet our needs the way we are not meeting our needs, or the way we feel we want to meet other people's needs. We give it away, we give our energy away, we give pieces of ourselves away to other people until we are so fractured that we feel lonely, not just in the world but within ourselves. And so it's really important to start to have a look inwards and remind ourselves we can give ourselves those things. Send all of that energy back into ourselves with our self-care needs, with our boundaries, everything like that. However, the other thing I would like to introduce you to is identity mapping. Now, identity mapping helps us to connect with who we are at a fundamental level. You might say, I don't like myself, Tasha. I also feel very depressed and self-loathing. And okay, that might be present, but we have to start somewhere. And so we are going to start by, with identity mapping, having a look at what your values are in life and the things that you like about yourself, even if they are limited, and the things that make you feel like you know what your favourite foods are. And this sounds very like rudimentary and basic, but like I said, we have to build it up from somewhere. And this can help us start to open the way we think into all of the things that make us uniquely us, that make me, me, that makes you, you. And we have those building blocks, and that's how we open our minds up when we are locked in to this sense of this feeling and this intense emotion and experience that you are going through right now. So I'm going to show that on the screen now, and you can pause it, take a print screen if you want, or just pause it and write it down on a piece of paper. So this mind map is basically a prompting tool to get you started in plotting positive or neutral things about yourself. And yes, we need to make space for reflecting on the things we don't like about ourselves as well. And if you've got any disabilities and stuff, then that is also important because it's part of your experience and your identity. But you need to be aware of not just filling the whole thing with those things. Like, you can put it in a corner somewhere. Do not fill more than a quarter of the page with those things, because that's where your eye's going to go and you're going to obsess over it. And that's not the purpose of what we're doing this for. We're trying to get you to look at not just the stuff that's bad. We're trying to shift your focus in a slightly less negative direction. So the prompts on this map include listing any music you enjoy, what kind of music, which artists are your favourite, what are your favourite songs, and maybe write down why that is. What is it about that stuff that you like? You might not be able to listen to it while you're in emotional states, and that's fine, but I think, still trying to write down the things that you're into musically is a good thing. So even if you can't connect to any of the things that I'm asking you to reflect on in this exercise, it's still good to think, okay, if I was feeling content and happy, what are the things that I would be doing and enjoying and things like that. The next thing is I enjoy spending time, or I would enjoy spending time doing, and then list those. Who am I now? So who have you become? Who would you like to be in the future? And explore some of that. The parts of myself I miss are, and you might want to look back at your childhood self about the things that he or she enjoyed, the things that gave you feelings of curiosity and excitement. I totally forgot how much I used to love dressing gothy and cats and music, playing music. I lost all of my enjoyment and interest in hobbies when I was in the depths of the despair I was in. And when I looked back at pictures of myself as a child, it reminded me of what I was interested in and the things that I would have done or did do when I was able to do so, when I was given permission, or the things that I wanted to do in future when I became an adult. So you might want to note things like that down. My spirituality or faith is, and this means to me, and then have a reflection of that. I am passionate / used to be passionate about, and then name those things. The people I love and who love me. The things I love about myself are. My boundaries include, and then list what your boundaries are for yourself and others. Maybe what your rules for life are. My self-care needs include. My core values are. In future I would like to. And the things that bring me sadness and the coping tools I find helpful, and then have a list of them. Things that bring me joy, and have a list of them. My favourite comfort food is, and then list that. So as you can see, it is quite basic, but it's about starting to get you to think about the things that you can name about yourself, and then you add to it as and when you can remember things that feel more deep, that create the depth for you as an individual. And there will be a mix of positive, negative, and neutral things, because that's the human experience. But we don't want it to be overly negative. We want to try and nurture some mindset shifts as well through this. So even if you don't feel it or believe it now, it's about having a think about what you would like to attain in the future for your goals, and like if you was feeling positive emotions, what are the things that you would enjoy doing, what are the things that you would like. And sometimes that can be painful and difficult, but it is important. And have a think about where your tolerance is with that. Like maybe leave that out, anything like that out for the time being, and focus on the things that are tolerable. So yeah, so I hope this was helpful. If you want to, you can have a look at these reflective questions as well. Some of them might be saddening, make you feel sad, so just skip those. Just focus on the ones that help you to explore who you are and your identity, and connect inward with yourself rather than externally to other people. You might also want to think about what hobbies you might want to do if you had the energy, time, space, funds. If you didn't have any barriers and there was nothing standing in your way, and you was living the life you wanted to live, what hobbies would you be engaging with? What would you be filling your time with? What would your boundaries be? All of that sort of stuff can help with this. So the reflective questions include: how would you describe yourself? What sort of person do you think you appear to be to others? What do you like to do in your spare time? What do you like most about yourself? What skills or qualifications do you have? Would you say you're artistic or not? What traits do you have? What other traits do you have? Do you get embarrassed easily? What do you plan to do in your future? What do you worry about the most? What are your favourite qualities in others? What are your biggest disappointments of your life to date, and what did you learn in those? What is the silver lining? What are the life lessons? What are the new boundaries that you could change as a result of that? What are your biggest achievements, and what did you learn from them? Would you call yourself an optimist, pessimist, or a realist? And do you think that if you was feeling healthy and well, that you would agree with whatever it is that you name yourself as in those mindsets? Or do you think that you're being overly cynical because of the mood and the experiences that you're in right now? And how might that be keeping you stuck? Do you often compare yourself with others? Do you feel others like you? What do you dislike most about others? Do you think you self-disclose easily? Like, do you overshare with people, and would you like better boundaries with that? Or are you quite rigid and closed off, and maybe you need to find a little bit of flexibility with that? And what do you feel more sensitive about? Other things that might help are also aromatherapy, aromatic anchoring, which I'll do a video on, and also animal therapy. So maybe you have a pet that you can go and hug, stroke, go for walks with. They are still another being that you can connect to. Maybe you go for a walk and realize that you are connected to nature. You are of nature. We forget that in today's society because everything is so fast and so built on technology, that we are of nature. We are an animal, just like the pigs and the sheep and the cows in the field, just like the birds in the sky and the trees that grow. I hope that this video was helpful to ease some of what you're feeling, but it is going to take time and practice. Thank you for sticking with it and for giving yourself this opportunity to come through this experience with me in these videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.